Welcome, Guardians, to the 56th episode of the DTR podcast. I am your host, Jay, the content manager here at the Tracker Network. And joining me this week are my wonderful co-hosts. First up, we have Jay Rambo 9119. What's up, man?
Good evening, everyone.
Welcome. I saw you guys all laughing. It's because just like came in, just like
yeah.
I'm sorry
it was a different.
Hot as ever.
Oh,
It's
okay.
definitely not that.
Next up, we have Rathos. Rathos, what's up, man? How are you?
Salutations, guys. It's
Welcome
been good.
back. All right, we have two special guest co-hosts this week. First up, we have Xander. Welcome, man.
What up?
What's up? Then we have Bennett. Welcome.
That's me. Thank you.
Ben and Xander are from DTR Champions, so I'm really excited to have them here this evening.
We're excited to be here.
Yeah. Our guest this week is Datto. Datto, thank you so much, man, for joining us.
Hey, no problem, no problem.
I know you've been a really busy man lately, but thank you for
Yeah,
taking the
you
time
can say
out.
that.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bennett Xander, thank you also for donating time.
Yes.
Yeah. Of
awesome.
course. We totally didn't ask if we could do one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, guys. So we have a ton of things to cover over the course of this hour. We're going to talk about trials. We're going to dive into the TWAB, and then we're going to give our review on Curse of Osiris. But before I dive into all of that, I do have a few announcements to make. So you guys can find us on iTunes, Podbean, and the Google Play Store at Destiny Tracker Podcast. We do record the show every Friday at 7:45 p.m. Eastern, live on twitch.tv/DestinyTrack. If you guys would like to support the show, you guys can subscribe on iTunes and make sure to leave a review. And also, you guys can follow us on Podbean. You guys can use our promo code DTR for 10% off your GamerSubs GG order. Also, I am proud to announce that towards the end of the year, we are going to be recording a special podcast episode with Jason Schreier from Kotaku. He is also the author of his brand new book, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. We're going to discuss a lot about the behind the scenes on the development of Destiny, and the main thing I'm really excited to talk to him about was what went wrong at Bungie between the release of Taken King and D2. As we know, a lot of seniors and leads left Bungie right after Taken King, so I'm really excited to talk with him about that. We're looking to have that episode live towards the end of the year or early in 2018. I will definitely keep everyone updated on that, so I'm really excited for that episode. All right, so Datto, I'm gonna pass the torch over to you. Well, microphone, I guess we could say.
Sure.
Do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself, what you do here in the community?
Sure. So I go by Datto, and my YouTube channel is Datto Does Destiny. My channel has shifted from guidance on the game to more insight, as opposed or as of recently. The past couple of months, let's say the need for guides hasn't really been there as much as the desire for insight into the game and what I think about stuff. So it's the tone has shifted, the kind of content has shifted, but I still throw up guides and stuff like that every now and then.
So how did you get into content creation?
Boredom. Just pure boredom. When you're working in television, like I was a few years ago, you're on for a show for 2 months, 3 months, and then you're off for 2, 3, 4 weeks until you're on another show or that show comes back on. And in that time, you're sitting around doing absolutely nothing beyond looking for a job. So you need something for your brain to do so that you don't go stupid or crazy. And I started doing Call of Duty YouTube content, as literally everyone else before me has, and that went okay, but kind of fell out of it. And then I saw Destiny pop up, and I was like, oh, this could maybe fix my World of Warcraft addiction that I can't play anymore. And so I kind of hopped on early with that. I still liked doing YouTube content. I still liked editing videos. I wanted to be like a film editor when I was working in the industry. So I just kind of started doing that in my spare time and on the weekends and stuff whenever I was working. And it grew into this somehow. And now I'm here.
Nice. I do have to say, you do inspire a lot of young content creators every day. So thank you all for everything that you do in this community.
Thank you very much. Very nice of you to say.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jay, your first question was like, who are you and what are you in the communities? Like, it's Datto.
Yeah,
Who
it's Datto.
doesn't know
Doesn't know
Zane?
Datto.
I didn't know if you like wanted a sincere answer or like a sarcastic one, because I could have give you either one, but I want
Sarcasm is fine. It's
Yeah,
like-
we love them both.
Okay.
Gotta mix them together
We
equally.
appreciate both.
Okay.
All right. So, J-Ram, you're up next. What questions do you have for Datto this week?
I have 5.
Wow.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Is that okay?
Sure.
Well, considering my Twitch chat asks me about 5 per second, I'd say that's okay.
All right. We'll start off a little easy, progressively get harder, and then one I just thought of right now. So
Okay.
you had 4, but then you opened your mouth, and now you got 5.
All right. Fine.
There's something interesting. When I ask.
Raises a lot of questions.
All right. So first, all right, you're definitely the YouTube guy here. All right. Every day in my feed, Datto does Destiny, pops up another video. What was your favorite video to make for Destiny 1 or Destiny 2?
My favorite video to make.
Yeah.
I got
Or
2.
better yet, what types of videos do you like to? What are your favorite types? Because you've done guides, you've done DPS stuff. So what do you like the most?
I really do like doing the DPS stuff. It does take an incredibly long time to do, and I do get a lot of help from my clan and my friends. They're there suffering, just wiping over and over and over again, just so I could get a whole bunch of numbers to jot down. But
Do you offer them like any food or anything like that to help?
I think I'm gonna start having to, because I asked like, hey, who wants to help with Argos damage, and nothing. So I was like, okay, how about $10 an hour?
Wait,
Like,
is that food question? Does that count as one of them?
Yeah, I think you added another question.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right, so
That's
food,
not the
food makes it 6. All right.
Okay, fine. So I do really like doing those. I have 2 favorite videos that I've ever made. One was a video that I made before Destiny even came out called Rating 101. And I basically went over how an MMO fight worked. I went over how some Borderlands encounters worked. And then I sort of gave an opinion or kind of thought about like, okay, well, how is Destiny going to handle something like a raid encounter that's going to make it as involved mechanically as an MMO, but still keep the freedom of something like a Borderlands. And that video took me like 50 hours to make, but I was very, very proud of it. The other video that I was very proud of was my only lore video, or basically only lore video that I ever did, that went over everything pre-Rise of Iron and like a little bit of Rise of Iron. But I also worked a very long time on that. I got a lot of fact checking, a lot of double, triple checking, asking Bife in Twitter DMs, like, did I get this right? And that was just a very well put together video.
Okay. Now to piggyback off of that, can you name one of your videos that was kind of like a sleeper hit? In other words, like you posted a video, you didn't think it was going to be this big, and then it just blew up. It was something you didn't even expect to happen.
Yeah, a video that I did on Overwatch where we did 6 Hanzo versus 6 Widowmaker on like the second day of release, and that hit like 800,000 views.
Wow.
All right.
Why? How? Now, if you
Just
want a
like-
Destiny video, I have one. I just remember distinctly like talking about, what was it? It was either Vex Mythoclast. I think it was Vex Mythoclast and Fourth Horseman, or Dragon's Breath and Fourth Horseman. Some combination of those two. And all it was just like, these weapons, are they good now? Because they just got a buff or like adjusted or whatever. And like I went back to look at my top viewed videos just one day, and I saw that video, just completely innocuous, just random video. It was at like 800,000 views or something. I was like, why? How?
It's good content.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, if there's one thing I've learned about YouTube, it's that people really like when you talk about exotics.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, just sprinkle exotics in everything. Just people love it.
Make
Well, I don't know
on
if
the
they love it,
thumbnail.
but they'll watch it.
All right. You ready for some hard-hitting questions now?
I'm ready.
All right. First one. Where did Bungie get Destiny 2 right? And where did Bungie get Destiny 2 wrong?
Ooh. What they do right? Well, I think their world building was a lot better this time around. It felt like they actually wanted the zones to be something as opposed to what they were like in Destiny 1, which were just kind of felt very empty and just they just felt like set pieces, just like an excuse for this thing to exist. Whereas all the destinations in Destiny 2 feel like they have a lot more love poured into them. There's a lot more detail. They feel a lot bigger than they actually are. I like that there's more stuff going on. They actually had a story this time, which was nice. Even if it was very brief, which is something I feel like they did wrong, but I'll get into that. Otherwise, some people would call the simplification of the game very good. I don't think it is, but for more casual players, I'm willing to bet that they think it's a lot better because they don't have to be confused about this many currencies and this currency and that thing and this thing, and it's just all just there you go, easy peasy, easy to understand. Again, some people really like that. I personally don't. So, and the PC version, I think they did incredibly well, incredibly well. It is near flawless, like no launch problems at all. The thing runs on any machine. It's like a League of Legends or a WoW or something like that, where it's designed to run on the worst machinery, and Destiny is still pulling 60 frames, 1080p on like a 1050 or older. So very, very well done there. What they did wrong was have too much of a focus on the Eververse store. What they did wrong was, at least to me, simplifying the crap out of the game. I thought Destiny 2 was really going to expand on subclasses and weapon modding and all these kind of things that you would maybe expect from an expansion, but instead they went the complete opposite direction, which, as a fan of the game who plays it a lot, I wanted a more in-depth experience. Yeah, I'd say those are the main issues with me. If I'm going to keep it brief, yeah, people don't like that Eververse store, huh? I will say that I don't mind an Eververse store existing. I just mind that it took over so much of what feels like the gameplay and the looting aspect that it just completely drives everything now. And if it were more like how it was in Destiny 1, you maybe wouldn't have that many or as many problems. But it was just too much. It's too much. It's too much. All right. I'm sure there's a bunch of other things I could talk about, but I'm trying to keep it brief.
All right. So just to transition into the next question and keep what you just said in mind. If, let's say, Bungie offered you a 1 week stay in their studios and they came to you and said, Mr. Datto, you got great ideas. We've seen what you've posted on YouTube. Can you help us at least try to begin to fix the problems that exist in this game currently today? Where would you start, and how would you start to implement different mechanisms or, just basic fixes?
I don't know if Destiny is in a position where small fixes are going to be enough, right? Because if you look at something like the Eververse store, clearly that was like designed around the entire game experience, right? You can't just get rid of the Eververse store and just sprinkle everything everywhere and all of a sudden all of our problems go away, right? Mm-hmm. That's just, this is not going to happen. So I think it's a bigger thing than just like eliminate Eververse and then make more raids or something like that. People are looking for more reasons to log in every day and have a reason to play. And again, I'm going to bring up World of Warcraft. A big reason why I liked playing was that every day that I logged in, there was something that I could do where I could make progress towards something happening. The biggest example is artifact weapons right now in World of Warcraft. They take an incredibly long time to level. there's 11 or 12 classes at this point, each with 3 different specializations. You will literally never run out of artifact weapons to level up. So no matter what happens, when I log in, I am making progress towards leveling up this artifact weapon. And in turn, that makes me stronger or does something for me that I can see. It's like, hey, I'm gaining levels, I'm getting more powerful, or I'm accomplishing a goal. And that's what I want to feel like when I log into Destiny every day is I want to be able to log in and say, okay, no matter what I do today, I'm going to make progress towards thing, whatever that thing is. And I think Destiny needs more of that. But those aren't short-term fixes. Those are very long-term fixes.
So it seems like if I can summarize what you've said, it kind of seems like you would start looking at player investment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now,
Yes.
Given that we've had the Masterwork system come out, and we all realize this is a bare bones system right now. It's the start of it. Where would you like to see that go? Because that is a form of player investment, right?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I would love to see it expand to weapon mods, maybe making your weapon stronger in general, maybe unlocking ornaments that whenever you get X amount of kills or complete certain objectives, you unlock an ornament that shows like, hey, I did this thing, or I got 50,000 kills with this gun. So I know this gun. I'm experienced with this gun. I'm gonna bring up WoW again. WoW has a zillion, or not, I shouldn't say zillion, but like 20 different skins for these friggin' artifact weapons whenever you accomplish certain goals in the game that show your level of expertise, right? Something like that, if I have a better Devils with 100,000 kills on it, that just, covers it in gold or whatever the hell they want to do.
Yeah.
Just to show like that I can progress towards something, or make the gun more powerful, or give it more mods, give it more attack, anything like that. Something like that I would like to see expanded. They were talking about Masterwork armor. Would love to see that. I wouldn't even mind them trying to like maybe Diablo-ify some of the weaponry. Just, get crazy with it. Get really crazy. Start introducing some zany stuff. And then allow the content to scale in the same way where we can have some sort of infinite skill cap so that we can always feel like we're achieving something, right? If there's an infinite skill cap, then there's never the best, right? Mm-hmm. You're never done because you can always take it one step more.
See, I love and agree with everything you're saying. And I think one of the major problems with implementing that type of system is the fact that PvE and PvP are still balanced together. And I'm not a game developer, but if you separate those two worlds and you don't have that intersection of the two, you can totally do things like that. And I think it'd be easily implemented.
Yeah, that can bring me back to something that Destiny did wrong, is that it made so many sacrifices in PvE for the sake of PvP balance, and then they didn't end up doing anything special with PvP whatsoever.
Right.
Those things would be forgivable if we had, robust custom matches or, a lobby system, a server browser we could search through to enter one of these, crazy matches, or ranked play.
Or the ability to pick what match you want to play.
Or even pick which match you want. Where's Rift? Where is Rift? Please bring back Rift.
Just want to slam.
Yeah, I completely agree there. I think PvP ends up holding back PvE a lot.
Which said that would be fine
if there were more features and activities in the PvP landscape. But I do think Destiny is a way better PvE game than it is a PvP game.
All right. And last question.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that you were in TV production, right?
Yes.
But for the average viewer of your YouTube videos, one would assume that you went to school for mathematics or something like that. And you even said you like doing the DPS calculator. I would consider you the DPS calculator, basically. All right. How did you get into TV and then still love to do all this math stuff? Now, I'm asking because I teach mathematics at a university where I live. So I'm totally into what you do. Like, I love everything you do about it. I get upset when I read the comments and people are like, Datto's wrong. the percentage increases. This is how you calculate. I'm like, no, he's right, you idiots. Like I so want to stand up for you, but you could do that yourself.
It's not even like it's very difficult math at all. Like I'm not out here doing, calculus out here. No, my love of math started in like elementary school where we would do these, I remember like 3rd, 4th grade, we would have these tests, these multiplication tests that we would take every so often. And there were different levels, like 1 through 10. Well, they were like red, yellow, green, blue, and then combinations of whatever, 1 through 10. And I was the only person to pass the 2nd level test out of my entire class the first time that everybody took it. So from that moment on, that's the one moment, at least growing up, where like math really started to interest me. Even earlier beyond that, I remember just like in kindergarten and 1st grade bugging my uncle to read me multiplication flashcards in the car whenever we were going somewhere. That didn't transfer as much, although my last good memory of math was actually when I had to take a summer course so that I could get my math credits out of the way, and I took multivariable calculus.
Oh.
And my teacher was terrible, but then I actually started teaching it to myself, and I was like actually understanding things, and I was like, oh, this is weird. I actually understand stuff. So that was kind of nice.
Calc 1 in 3 dimensions. That's all it is.
Yeah. So that was just like, I want to be done with my math credit. It's a 4-week course. Fine, done, whatever. The film stuff came from my junior high and high school days, where me and my buddies over the summers would film, stupid little movies and stuff. And we did a project in one of our classes that was a film. It was a video project, and that ended up getting an A. And ever since then, I just kind of fell in love with like editing and making movies and, dumb little skits with my friends and stuff. And so first 2 years of college, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. My friend introduced me to the campus television station, kind of fell back in love with it. And I was like, okay, this is the only thing that I actually know how to do that will pay money in the real world. So I guess we're going with this. And that's how I ended up doing that.
What are the chances of the public getting some of these old school Datto videos from high school on YouTube?
Absolutely zero.
Although
Is there a certain
1%.
number of retweets I need to achieve?
Technically speaking, there are things on YouTube that exist only because I cannot access the account anymore. And I finally have a YouTube contact, so I'm going to see if I can contact them about getting access to that account back. But things do exist of my college video stuff on YouTube. I am just not going to say what it is. And the home movie stuff, forget it. I don't even know where that stuff is myself. So those things are lost at my parents' house.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for answering my question.
Sure thing.
Bring the heat, bro.
Just prepped. Yeah, I mean, some of the things that we talked about are things that I've thought, or that you were talking about just now. The main one that comes to mind, well, I guess 2 main ones came to my mind. One would be, you talked about the simplification of the game for D2 and how that was kind of to its detriment. And that's kind of something that I have thought as well, where in D1, there was kind of a high entry level that if you wanted to stick with it, the people that ended up sticking with it until it kind of got turned around when Taken King and all that came out were the ones that would kind of like, okay, I can bury myself into lore, or I can min-max all I want and I can do all that stuff. And that's a lot of the people that kind of stuck around. But that's kind of a high barrier to entry. And so because of that, I feel like Bungie kind of scaled it back and was like, all right, we'll streamline everything. And this will let the casual user come in and do it. And obviously that's upset a lot of the people that liked digging farther in depth. And I mean, I liked that too. Where would you see kind of the balance of those two things, where you can still have really in-depth kind of modding and things like that, but still easy for it's not like jumping into like Warframe or something where you're like, wait a second, what? And
yeah. Man, as soon as Bungie answers that question, I think they're going to be pretty set on their game. No, it's a very tough question to answer because we don't know what the balance is, right? I think Destiny 1 kind of flirted with it, even though I didn't think it was terribly complex in the first place. Subclasses were not very complex. You had a pretty limited amount of subclass builds that were actually effective. But then they just kind of took it in like, hey, we're going to make the subclass builds for you, so you don't even have to worry about it. And that's, I understand. There's only like 2-3 builds that even worked in Destiny 1 in the first place, but at least I could tinker a little bit. You had
that control.
Yeah, you could mess around a little bit with it. So I kind of miss that. Yeah, that is a very difficult question to answer because I don't know of many games that strike that balance incredibly well, where you can have sort of a more casual, simplified system and then also a more advanced hardcore system at the same time existing and having them both be balanced and all that. You could say maybe that Diablo 3's elective mode is something along those lines, where instead of set abilities being locked to set slots, you could put them wherever you want for more advanced players and stuff like that. You could say that's maybe sort of what Bungie should be striving to do. But yeah, it is it's tough. I imagine it's very difficult, and I imagine they're trying to work on some solutions to that problem now, because that's part of the problem is we're sort of in the middle, and then they just went really far to one direction, and that's no bueno.
Yeah, I mean, we all know One Direction broke up, so it spelled issues. Sorry.
Now I do.
Okay, so second one, kind of leading in from that. And let me see if this is going to turn out as a question instead of just a statement. So kind of tying into that, it feels to me, and this is kind of my main issue with the game, where, the mechanics are great, the shooting is great, it still feels great to play. But because of that kind of, this something you had mentioned as well that I had written down earlier, which was that it seemed like they had developed a lot of this stuff, a lot of these new systems to really kind of push it towards PvP and kind of developing maybe a more competitive scene with the changes that they made to the Crucible, at least in some of the cosmetic things and with static rolls and stuff like that. But again, they didn't fully commit to it and include like the custom matches or ranked modes or anything like that. And so because of that, it feels to me like they didn't commit to one side or the other, and that's why I kind of have this feeling that it just doesn't have an identity. Like Halo had an identity as a shooter that you could get into competitively. There was a campaign that you could play through, maybe learn it and go into the story and stuff like that, which was always great, and I enjoyed it. But it was a shooter first and foremost, and that's what it was dedicated to. And here they're kind of caught between wanting to do both but not being able to. What would you say would kind of be the thing if they were to shift it back towards PvE? What would your ideal kind of changes be? And if they were to shift it more, I mean, I think shifting it more towards PvP, the changes are kind of obvious. But with ranked play, custom matches, more kind of control over some of that stuff. But especially if it were to shift more towards PvE and take that as more of its identity, I don't know, how would they do that, and how would they do that without letting any PvP suffer and alienating the entire crowd? Since, I mean, we're kind of part of that crowd.
I'm done with this game.
The biggest thing, obviously, is to separate PvE and PvP balancing. I think everyone's on the same page with that. But otherwise, yeah, I agree that Destiny has an identity crisis. It doesn't know what it wants to be, and it's spreading the frosting way too thin, right? It doesn't know, do we want to be a story game? Do we want to be an investment game? Do we want to be a PvP game? Yeah. It needs to answer one of those questions, because right now it flirts with every single one of them, but doesn't really nail any of them. I know I personally would love to see Destiny turn into more of an investment game as opposed to a story game. But with the way that Bungie seems to see the game and maybe even have its attitude towards the game, it seems like they should just go with a more story-based thing, because from what I've been able to gather, Bungie has this fascination with people just being able to leave the game whenever they want and then trying to pull them back with new stuff. And it doesn't seem like they themselves are invested in making an investment game. Everything that we've seen so far has been, at least in Destiny 2, been taking away from the investment game. So I think Bungie themselves need to decide, like, what do we want to make this? Do we just want to make it a story game and have PvP be a thing on the side where with, you know, weapons that you unlock and all that, or, you know, like what do we want to do? And I think once they actually start locking that down, we'll have probably a better game experience. Whether that's, you know, because they decided to go more in on PvE and more in on story and investment and trying to make that really solid, or go in more in PvP, which I don't think they would do, and have a more robust PvP experience. So, yeah, I think it's just on them to be like, we got to pick. We got to pick. We got to pick and commit, because we're trying to appease too many people, and by doing that, we are appeasing nobody at all.
And everybody's mad.
Look at the competitive PvP scene. You can't.
I've been
because
trying
they're
to
all
find
gone.
it since
Everybody left. They're all
we ended
gone.
with
They're
our
all
last
playing
tournaments,
Fortnite.
and then everybody disappeared.
They're all playing Fortnite. They're all playing Call of Duty. They're all playing Overwatch. You know, Pashi's a top 500 Overwatch player. Madaro's top 500 Overwatch player. They're all gone. There's nothing. There's nothing. So yeah, I think they just need to commit to something in some direction. Yeah. And you know, whatever they end up doing, great. I think it's a much better PvE game than it is PvP. I think they could have way more. I think the PvE side has way more potential than the PvP. But yeah, I completely agree. Identity Crisis, they got to pick something to go with.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll leave my questions there. And did you have anything to add?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks for your contribution.
And
all smiles over here, guys. It's okay.
And right, those. Do you have any questions, my man?
My questions are more around for the community of getting to know Datto more on a personal level than on a gamer level.
Okay.
Like, we all know, hey, he does a lot of streaming and YouTube videos for Destiny, of course. But what is the Datto of everyday life stepping back from the camera? Like, what do you like to do in your free time when it's not focused on work or Destiny or something like that? What do you do to relax, if you will?
I'm going to give you an incredibly boring answer. I'm not a very exciting person. When I'm doing all the Datto stuff, it sure seems like I might, or like whenever I go to, you know, an event here or there, or go to a convention, and, you know, it seems like, oh, life's crazy. It's not. It's really not at all. I am just like everybody else. I like to watch YouTube videos. I like to occasionally watch sports. I like to sleep a lot. I'm super boring. Although I do think that's partially because when I worked in the television industry, the only time you had to do anything was, at least while you were working, was maybe like an hour and a half when you got home, because you would work 12 and a half, 13 hours. You would commute for an hour and a half. So that leaves you 9 hours outside of work to do anything. So all I had time to do was watch a couple of YouTube videos and then go to bed. So after 6 years of doing that, you kind of don't do anything else. And, you know, not to mention that YouTube takes quite a lot of my time in general. Like, if I'm not actively working on stuff, I'm thinking about, okay, what's the next YouTube video going to be? Because my YouTube videos, like, half of them are reactionary, you know, thoughts on the thing that happened, sure. But then in between, I need to do, you know, my typical commentary stuff, and that takes a while to produce. So more often than not, if I'm not working, I'm thinking about the work that I'm going to maybe need to do, which is probably not healthy at all.
No, it's totally normal.
I'm super effing boring.
Another question. I saw the video, about you getting ready for your move, moving up out of California. Since that time, have you felt an improvement of your own personal mental state? I know that with the strain of California and everything, it was really weighing you down. I saw it pretty heavily in that video. I want to make sure that you're doing better in general.
Yeah, I'd say I absolutely am doing better in general. It's nice to actually have people around to hang out with. Just even like I don't hang out with people every day, but it's just knowing in the back of your head that the option is there, right? If I wanted to, I could go do it. Whereas in California, if I wanted to, I couldn't really do it because there was just nobody there. So it is my mental state's a lot better. It's nice to be able to actually get out every once in a while. I'm going out tonight after I'm done with you guys.
Oh, nice.
So it's very nice to actually have like human interaction with people again.
Good.
Even if it is just, like going to the movies, grabbing some dinner, and then heading back home or something like that. Or even if it is as simple as just walking a couple doors down, knocking on Triple Rex's door and say, hey, you want to go get something to eat? Something like that. So yeah, doing a lot better. Things could be even better. I think I work myself into a frenzy with YouTube and just the constant pressure of trying to keep content flowing on the channel no matter what, and having to make up problems that don't exist in order to solve them for just a YouTube video. I've done that before many times, just to have something going on the channel. But that comes with the lifestyle. Yeah. So.
And final question. We're going to go ahead and bring it on back to the YouTube channel. What is something that is in the works for your channel? What's something that you've been thinking a lot about and working on, like as a secret project, something that you see maybe being released in due time? That's something that you want done really well, something that you're wanting to pour a ton of hours into, that you just want to come off as flawless, that you want to see blow up?
Non-Destiny content. Yeah, I would love for my non-Destiny content to blow up so I wouldn't feel the pressure to constantly have Destiny stuff flowing. But I understand why people don't watch at least some of the non-Destiny stuff that I do right now. It's all gameplay driven. It's more like comedy, hanging out with the buds kind of stuff. But that wasn't the original draw of my channel, right? So no matter how good I think it is, if I can't at least get people watching it in the first place, no one's going to watch it. So I need to figure out a way to bring the same level of insight and expertise that I have on Destiny into other games, while also keeping it ambiguous enough that if you don't know the game, you will still understand what I'm talking about. And that's a very, very, very small tightrope.
Fine line. Very fine line.
Very fine line to walk. But one instance where I knew that maybe something could happen was when I did a quick video on my thoughts on World of Warcraft Classic servers being announced. And people watched that a lot more than I was anticipating. It didn't make a lot of money at all, but I didn't really care about that. But a lot of people watched it, and that was the one thing that kind of signaled to me, like, okay, if I can continue to find topics like this to talk about in a broad enough sense that everybody can understand, then maybe there's a chance that I can move into more variety, insight kind of things. But then at the same time, I need to separate myself from all of those other kind of guys who talk about, controversies in gaming and all that kind of stuff. And, I don't want to just be adding to the noise. I need to make it my own kind of thing. So smush all those things together and we have a very difficult problem to solve. So as soon as I feel like I can make something like that happen with a little more frequency, then that's something I would definitely like to pursue. But if I don't get it to happen, I know that I'm basically locked to Destiny forever, which would be okay if I had enough things to talk about. Yeah, exactly.
Right. I hear you there.
I don't mind being locked to Destiny forever. It's just that right now, things are not so good.
It's not a good
I hear you.
All right.
Cool.
All right, great questions, guys. Wow. All right.
You're welcome.
So let's
Good
dive
smile you gave.
straight into our Trials of the Nine segment. So
Laser tag.
Yeah, it was.
What?
It was laser tag last weekend. Last week's map was Radiant Cliffs, which is the past Mercury map, and the game mode was Countdown. I did not play Trials of the Nine last weekend. I was really focusing on the PvE content, grinding out those forged weapons. Did you guys play Trials last weekend? I didn't mean to say last night. Last weekend. Xander, did you play Trials, man?
No, I was busy the whole weekend. I didn't have a moment to sit down and get a chance to play.
Laser tag.
I wanted to so bad with all the
Prometheus
craziness that was going on. As soon as I heard on Twitter that Xur dropped the Prometheus lens, I was like, Bungie's doing it right. Instead of going back and being like, we screwed up. They're like, screw it, we'll just give it to everybody.
Just have fun with it, guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben, did you play, man?
I was kind of in the same boat. I had recording gigs all weekend, so I was out of the apartment, and then when I was back, we were putting together, sleeping, and then working on stuff for you guys. So doing things like that. So it's your fault.
Sorry, I'm kidding. J-Ram, did you play Trials of the Nine last week?
I didn't do Trials. I went into Crucible. Tried to do that Call of Arms thing. And while I can appreciate the diversity and gun selection that week, I liked the time to kill that was faster. I enjoyed that. However, it just wasn't fun because it was basically like, if I can shoot you first, I win. That's it. So it didn't require any skill. So as far as, dipping my toes into the Trials of the Nine, no, I didn't. I did as much as I could in Crucible until I just was like, you know what? If I'm gonna just shoot things aimlessly without thought, I'd rather just go do a strike and get some Vanguard marks, or whatever they have tokens now. The token, yeah. So that was me.
Right, though. Did you play Trials of the Nine?
I'm not a PvP player. I hardly ever touch Crucible. But Friday came around. I got off work, got home, and I heard so much about how Crucible was just laser tag. I'm like, I need to see this for myself. So I went and bought the damn thing, and I dropped in, and I was like, nope. One round of Crucible, and I just walked away. I said, I'm just gonna ignore this for a while. All my friends from an old clan and my current one were like, there's no point in doing Crucible unless you have that gun, and even then it's just stupid. I think my old clan, 4 of them got together and went into Trials, and they said it was the dumbest thing they'd ever seen. They
in a good way or a bad way?
Yeah,
both.
A bit of both.
It was about as dumb as Year One Galahorn. And yeah, it was just
or Vex.
Stupid. Yeah.
Datto, did you play Trials last weekend?
I did play Trials last weekend. I managed to get a flawless card.
Nice.
By some miracle of science, managed to get it. The better team often still won, but I can't say I would enjoy an experience like that in Destiny specifically if that were the main pace of play, because it basically turns the game into, who sees who first.
Yeah.
And I like that in Destiny that, I can get out of situations where if I'm caught, if I play it well or can maybe burn an ability, I can still stay alive. And it's not only just about who sees who first, but who can, if you see each other at the same time, who's going to win the gun battle. You know, who has the better shots. That person is going to win most of the time. So it was a fun little experience, but yeah, if that was the norm, I don't think I would be participating in PvP. And yeah, it was a fun little thing.
It was interesting.
And I think they need more fun little things like that every once in a while. But to have that be the main pace of play, no, thank you.
Yeah, no.
It was a good way to take advantage of a bad situation,
Right?
and they managed to flip it well, which I commend them for.
Yes. All right, so we do play a little game here on this show where we get so many kills a specific weapon received in the Trials of the Nine last weekend. So of course we're going to do Prometheus Lens. So this game is kind of like The Price is Right. So the lowest number you could bid, of course, will be 1 kill, and the highest number you could bid would be 10 million kills. So yeah, so to show you how this go, Datto, Rathos, you're up first, man.
Hold on. I got a question. Hold on.
Sure.
Do you know how many kills total there were
Yes.
for all guns?
For the top 10.
For the top 10?
Yeah.
Because I think it's safe to assume that Prometheus had the most.
Yeah.
It did.
Right?
I will go through all
Hands down, it
the
did.
top 10. Yeah. I
checked it on day one, and it was like
It was like
98%. Yeah.
yeah.
Like 500,000 at least.
So maybe to help us gauge our guess,
Okay.
can you tell us how many kills total there were in the top 10?
That's a lot of math. 10 million kills altogether, basically.
10 million.
Combined,
Okay.
it will be combined, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Because here's the thing, I didn't want somebody guessing like 22 million.
Oh, no, the highest
No,
number
he
is
gave
10 million kills.
1 to 10 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good.
It's in the
All right.
millions. It's in the... We all know
Good,
it's in the millions.
Rathos.
Yeah.
9.25 million.
All right. J-Ram.
Well, I'm gonna go with 9,800,000.
9,800,000. All right.
9.8.
Bennett.
We go with 9.65.
9.65. All right. Sander.
Million.
No, yeah.
I'll go 8,99999.
Wait, was that an 8 up front first?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
All right,
one
9
under.
million.
9 million
he's
minus
under
1,
9
just in
million.
case Dad wanted to go, I can pick 9 million.
All right. And Datto.
So you said there were 10 million kills
All together,
in-
basically, yeah.
Okay. I will go. I'll go 9.5 million.
9.5 million.
9.4 million.
9.4?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'm writing all of them down, so.
Good. All right,
All
guys.
right.
So Prometheus Lens had 9.5 million kills last
Should have went
weekend.
9.5.
Yeah.
So without going over,
close.
Datto is our winner. He's
Yeah.
going.
Yay.
You're going to Hawaii? Yeah.
Where's he going?
Hawaii.
Oh, shiz.
You're going somewhere
Or
warmer
Mercury.
than you
You're going to
currently are.
Mercury. All right.
I'm down with that.
We're staying to the lighthouse. Yeah. So yeah, 9.5 million kills. 80. That is 89.7% of the kills.
Dear God.
Over two. I don't know if that last part's right, but yeah, over 89.7% of the kills. So that is the number one most used weapon in Trials of the Nine. Next up is Sins of Past at 398,000. So look at that gap. Look at that gap.
Well, that's the other gun they would have had equipped because
That was the only thing that could stop a Prometheus lens.
Yeah.
Was just an instant kill.
yeah.
Rocket to the face, yeah.
Nameless Midnight came in at 67,000 kills.
Who are the dummies using that?
Blue Shift, that is also a rocket launcher, that came in at 60,000. Purpose, I'm guessing that is the brand new Trials of the Nine scout rifle. That came in at 32,000 kills. Antiope D came in at 31,000 kills. Curtain Call at 26,000. Garden, the brand new scout rifle from the Forge weapon, that came in at 28,000. And Main Ingredient at 24,000.
Oh, what happened to Bennett? They left.
So you're telling me laser tag with rockets and the occasional scout rifle?
Yeah, and that one machine
Pretty
gun.
much.
Yeah, Datto nailed it. It's the one-shot kill. You're either doing a laser or a rocket.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so that's really
There
interesting.
we go. Now it works.
There we go.
Sorry, Xander kicked the interface and everything died.
What was the number? Sorry, we not right before that.
It came at
9.5.
Yep, 9.5 million kills.
Dang.
And then it sends a pass right underneath at number 2 at 398,000, and then a gap at 67,000 for Nameless Midnight. That's the top 3.
That's probably okay. I realized that I played Price is Right wrong, where I picked one under 9 million. And so I had to pick 9 million.
Yeah.
I like totally did that backwards.
Yeah.
So,
No, I don't like that one bid nonsense. Unless you all went like way too high, then I'll go $1. But I don't like that. I'm here to earn my wins. I'm not trying to win on time. Holtzman.
What cheaters? Cheaters, Xander, they both rhyme.
I believe when we had Holtzman on, I think he won on Price is Right too. I think he bid 1 kill to also. I have to go back and listen to that episode, but yeah. Wow, that's insane though, those numbers. But they patched it. It's been patched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These ones has been patched.
I haven't. They'll fix it for real eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, next month.
January.
Yeah.
It's a long time from now. Man, 9.5 million kills. This week's map is a distant shore, and it's survival. So basically, Shores of Time and on survival. I will most likely dive into it tonight after the show. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I played a card right before I came on, and it's it's a lot of playing around river, watching that heavy. That's really like the only play to make.
Survival.
Scout rifles takes. I mean, I didn't fight too many teams that were like sitting in the absolute back of like BC area, just in the back with scout rifles. Maybe 1 or 2 games. Otherwise, it was. I was also playing on console because I don't know how to read. So I just saw like. Friend, hey, trials tomorrow at usual time? Yes. And then they said console somewhere in there, and I just didn't read it because I'm stupid.
No.
So, yeah, a lot of auto rifles, but I imagine on PC it'll be the same old PC stuff.
For this week, Uriel's Gift is at number 1 at 289,000 kills so far.
That makes sense.
We are back to the norms. Uriel's Gift and Mida. We're back to the norms. So, yeah. All right, guys. So that's our Trials of the Nine talk. So let's dive into the TWAB this week. If you guys read the TWAB, you will know that there's a web comic coming. That will talk about Osiris and Icor, which I'm really, really excited about. This. I think this is the first Destiny comic book, so I'm actually extremely excited for this. Datto, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. The one thing that stuck out to me was that they had to emphasize for free, like everywhere on it.
Yeah,
I just thought that was funny, like just because they're going through all this stuff right now. Like, no, it's free. Please, free. It's
For
free.
real.
Not locked behind a DLC. It's free.
Although, I'm sure if they wanted to like sell like actual hard copies of it, they'd fly off the shelves.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, that's fine. You're getting an actual thing. Yeah, it looks interesting, and it's kind of feeds into people's desires to find out more about characters like this and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm all for it. Looks cool.
I do miss the Grimoire cards that just explain like the past and all that, which is shocking to say because back then we were like, put this in the game.
They all technically exist in game. It's just there's not some like very nicely laid out format to go look at. Like if there was a kiosk at in by Akora or something that you could go look up all the the cards that you have unlocked, I think people would really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think the closest thing we have is our collections page in our vaults, where here's all your exotics lined up side by side, and you can go read them that way. But
read the lore tab. It's not the same.
I feel you. I
do think it's kind of funny that it was in D1. The Grimoire was there, and it was the kind of thing that existed, and everyone was like, "Oh man, it sucks what happened to the story right before like the release, and it all changed." But we can dive into this and we can put it together ourselves and we can build this and we can put it all together. And then in D2, Bungie was like, you know what? No, we have a story. We have it. So don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You don't need that. We put it together for you. And everyone's like, but I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
I
mean,
liked finding it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even that, because there's still like tons and tons of backstory.
Yeah, it's
to, like,
it's all
this other
still there.
stuff. It's just now it's much more harder to piece together, because if you don't have the armor piece, you can't really look at it in game unless you go look at somebody else's armor piece and just if they had a
pull up
kiosk,
everything together. And,
right? Like if they had, you know, as you unlocked raid armor, a book or a chapter in a book at the Ikora kiosk unlocked, and you could read that, and you just say like, how to unlock this? Go get item, whatever.
Boy, that kiosk, that's a pretty good idea. They should do something like that.
I know, they really should.
When they add kiosks to this game, and when they have things
I
like
just
that,
realized, there's no kiosk in D2 really.
Nope.
yeah, no.
They took that away.
It's your
Asinine
collections
thing.
page.
They
It's your
brought it in
collections page.
Taken King.
If there were two things that I would have, if you would have said, J-Ram, if you had $1 million to bet and it's going to be in D2, what were those two things going to be? I would have said a bigger vault and kiosk, and boy was I ever wrong.
Oh, you said vault.
Yeah. It's not here.
Not only did they give us, they didn't give us neither. They've shrinked everything down.
Yeah.
Well,
They
that
shrunk
being
it
said,
and then took
they,
away.
They made static rolls, so we didn't
You only need
need
one.
10 of one gun, so that helps a little bit. But
Yeah.
That's
A
true.
little.
That's very true.
Just a
Oh,
little
well.
bit. Just a little bit. So, faction rallies was supposed to be here this week, but they
Wait, whoa,
postponed
whoa,
it.
whoa! You didn't ask
whoa.
me.
All right, fine. Go.
What kind of show would this be without a conspiracy theory from J-Ram?
All right, that's true. All right, go.
All
I haven't
right,
heard
so
Lysander in a while.
am I excited about the comic book? Yes, but
Yeah.
did anybody notice how they strategically placed all the information on the TWAB? The first thing you saw was the comic book, and Datto nailed it. Free, right? Big bold words, capital FREE, free. And then the thing underneath it was the dawning. But they said nothing about the dawning. You had to click on a link that takes you to another page, so you can read about the dawning.
Yep.
See, politicians are really good at what we like to call smoking mirrors. In other words, they know shit is going to go down with this dawning, and there's one sentence, and I'm going to read it out to you why people are going to be upset. And this is why they put it under a link and underneath the word free and a new thing.
Okay.
On one week or another during the 3-week event, you'll find every Dawning themed exotic ship, ghost, sparrow emote, and every Dawning themed legendary armor piece on her shelves. And who do you think I'm referring to?
Tess.
There you go. That is why they put that stuff first and put this on another page that you had to move your mouse or your finger to touch. They don't.
It's delaying the inevitable.
Yeah, they are not stupid. I am sick and tired of hearing two things. First thing I'm sick and tired of, they're listening. Bro, they've been listening since D1. Okay?
If I have to hear "keep the conversation rolling" one more time, I'm gonna have to get everyone to. How many times we gotta hear "keep the conversation rolling" before we all hold hands across America?
Yeah, I'm done with that. You know, I listen. I'm trying. I'm the little positivity and all that stuff. Game's over for that. I've given you guys money. I've stuck up. I've been on this boat with you for 4 or 5 years now. And I'm still arguing about the same things that I did 4 or 5 years ago. So either it's time to start making changes, and I'm not saying monumental changes, just little ones along the way, or when the ship docks, I'm getting off. I'm not going to come back on your ship because your food sucks. All right. Now, just my little conspiracy. I think that's why they did that. Because like Datto said, they're delaying the inevitable. They know people are going to be upset because this game, essentially, without the random rolls and all that stuff, it is essentially, they've boiled this down into a cosmetic game. And the coolest cosmetic shit is locked behind money.
I will devil's advocate you. I will say that this particular Dawning page has a lot of space attached to it. There's a lot of real estate on here. So they probably wanted to make their own separate page for it. So if people did want to find out more specifically about the Dawning, they wouldn't have to go to the This Week at Bungie and then scroll through and like, okay, where's the Dawning set? Okay, here it is. All right, they just have their own link to it because it took up a lot of real estate. There's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pictures on it. So that's my devil's advocate. Is that it took up a lot of space.
I will devil advocate you.
Okay.
Last week when they announced all the changes and patches and everything, that was all on one page, and it was a shitload.
That's true.
On the This Week at Bungie.
No.
Let me find it.
Let's find it. This Week at Bungie last.
Well, it doesn't really matter.
Well,
it doesn't really
images
matter.
for patch notes.
That's
true.
No.
That's when they canceled the stream.
Oh, you're talking about the State of Destiny 2. Well, that wasn't really in the TWAB.
Maybe my devil's devil advocate example sucked.
Yeah.
But
and I can eat that. I can live with that.
Okay. Yeah. Or they did that because people may have skipped over it. Because I will admit, I did not even know about that page that said check this out and you have to click the link. I honestly just scrolled through and actually skipped over that link. So that could have been a reason also. Yeah,
and for the average person, if they're just skimming the article and everything, they're not going to see that stuff. They're going to see free comic book, the Dawning, the movie of the week, what's up next, and that we're going on break.
Yeah,
which is fine.
And I was shocked to see that they released the TWAB so early in the day. Like I was at work and I was like, "Whoa, the TWAB is out! I can't cover this right now."
I think they're doing their whole pentathlon thing, so that's maybe why it went out early, so they could have the rest of the afternoon to kind of do their pentathlon thing.
That's true.
Or maybe just Dylan got up early and got it done early. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because that's the earliest we've ever seen the 12 come out, to be honest, right? Yeah. So now can I talk about faction rallies, guys?
I guess.
Because I do want to talk about this. Because I was shocked to see that Bungie almost released faction rallies, even though it would lock out non-DLC owners.
Oh, that was a bad
I
move.
was shocked. Like, when J-Rim told me that, like, can you believe that they almost released? I was like, whoa, you're right about that. So faction rallies would have been locked behind a paywall. Iron Banner would have been locked. And, of course, we know that the Prestige Raid and Prestige's activities, such as Trials and the Prestige and Nightfall, they were all locked behind a paywall. Which, they, I don't want to say excuse, but the reason that they gave made sense. They want activities to increase as your power level increases, right? So I guess that makes sense. But do you guys think it would have been even more chaos if they would have released faction rallies and it would have just been for Curse of Osiris owners only?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
There would have been so much backlash.
We would have been rioting in the streets.
Did they even say that you had to own Curse of Osiris? Like in the 12 last week, I don't think they ever mentioned you must own Curse of Osiris in order to, like, I was trying to search for that, but I don't think I saw that. In order to play in this week's, next week's faction rally.
They kind of
I don't know if they saw it or said it, but I don't know. My thoughts on the whole, like all of that, the whole lockout stuff that's been going on like this past week, because these are closely related, is that if I've had people make the argument that, okay, well, you know, these things are there's like where activities, say like the raid, prestige mode, stuff like that. And for like Iron Banner and things like Trials. In the past in D1, people would say, oh yeah, but no, those always scaled with every DLC and you had to do it. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, that's true. Yeah. But the point that I would make to that is that it made sense when you were playing, let's say you had, let's say you have House of Wolves and Taken King comes out. And Trials moves up or Iron Banner moves up and it moves up to the new level and the new light level that you have. But this is where now you are, you know, it's level enabled if you go into it. And that's going to have an impact on what you do. It makes sense to have that locked for the DLC people only to do those events moving forward, because you're not going to take somebody that's light level 200, put them into Iron Banner against somebody that's light level 350 and say, all right, good luck. Sorry, you have to buy it to do it. But now it's like the level limits that are there. or they just kind of feel arbitrary. It's like, yeah, for Trials of the Nine, you got to be 260.
Yeah, 260. Yeah,
And
you can
so-
start playing now,
And then it
sure.
doesn't matter if you're anywhere above that.
Yeah.
So it seemed like kind of an arbitrary level, and then parts of it just seemed like oversight to me. Like the like with the raid stuff where that came out, and they're like prestige level moves up. This is what I mean. That was my thought too. Was okay. Well, the community as a whole asked for content to stay fresh, but it was, and they admitted it, a big oversight not to leave an old version in there because
but
that's how they kept it fresh moving
How
forward.
is that an oversight?
How many more times are they going to have these oversights?
Yeah.
Like who there is not realizing like, oh, hey, maybe if we do that, we're going to piss off a lot of people who don't have the DLC or can't afford it yet. No, not a single person thought
No,
that.
it doesn't seem like that would happen.
You know, I don't want to paraphrase what you said, Datto, but you put a
nailed
tweet
it.
out last week that said something along the lines of how many times are we going to see this major F up by Bungie in the headlines? That's
they're
what
the reactionary.
Yeah, and they are very reactionary. They are a reactionary company, they're not proactive at all. I mean, they sit back and watch, and they throw the chips up in the air and say, fuck it, we'll see where it lands, and then we'll adjust from there. Instead of sitting there and how is that an oversight?
Yeah,
how did they everything gets run through 8 or 9 people at least before they publish something. How is that an oversight?
Yeah,
I don't buy that shit for a second.
Certain things are okay to be reactionary to, like player feedback. Like, hey, we're trying a new thing.
Yeah,
let us know
agree.
how you like it. That's fine.
I'm with
but
you
then
on that.
seeing issues like this, where like, oh, everyone who doesn't have the DLC is going to be locked out of that. Don't you think that's going to make people mad? Shrug.
Yeah, I compare this to ordering a pizza. For the first 3 months, you get a plain pizza, dough, sauce, and cheese for $10. And then once December 5th hit, you ordered your pizza and they delivered you dough, and they're like, "Where's the sauce and the cheese?" They're like, "Oh wait, well, that's more money now. Like if you want those things that you had before, you got to pay us another $20." That's just bullshit. That is shady business 101 right there. And I don't care if it was an Activision move or if it was a Bungie move. The fact of the matter is, if it was an Activision move, Bungie, you should have made a more intelligent decision with who you're getting involved with than Activision. You should have. Because even if it was an Activision thing, Bungo, you are going to get nailed with this. And it's your fault, not theirs. You know what I mean? You got to learn how to pick your friends. Parents say that shit all the time growing up. Pick good friends. Why? Because the friends you have will reflect back on you eventually. Now look at the state they're in. And I honestly, I think if Bungie didn't have so many problems right now, we wouldn't be examining this game under a microscope so much.
Oh,
I mean,
I completely agree.
They make if they're dancing on the dance floor and they make one wrong dance move, everybody in the hall is going, "Oh my god, did you see that?" I mean, it's horrible. It's horrible, right?
They've relinquished the rest of any goodwill that they had stored up with the community. So at this point, it's all out. It's just an all out
roll however far we can. And react to the next thing that happens.
And
why does it seem
people
like
just
There's two things that come into my mind when I think about this, and the first one is, why does it always seem like they're playing catch up? They always seem like they're playing catch up, and the second thing is they're always asking us for to be patient, and it's like, I've been patient enough, man. I'm not asking for a polished game. I'm not asking for the Lamborghini of games. All I'm asking for is some transparency. That's it.
Yep.
And we don't ever get that.
I will say the one thing that I kind of devil's advocate for them, and it's not saying that they've made the right decisions, not at all. But it is saying that they made decisions for Destiny 2, however long ago, probably a year and a half, 2 years ago at this point. They decided on a lot of these changes and started making them. And then now that it's come out, people have said, we don't like that. And they're like, okay, that's fair. Be patient. And I think what they mean by be patient is, if they were to be fully transparent, they'd say the DLCs are already done. there's only so much we can change in them until we get a new Taken King level expansion that comes out where we can actually change the core mechanics of the game. So you're going to have to wait a year. But we don't want to say that, so we're not going to say that. And we'll try to fix things.
I mean,
well, they can't say that.
It's going to be in their benefit to say less than to say more. I'll give an example.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I saw Ben Brode gave he's the Hearthstone guy. He gave like a developer insight on like announcing things early. And how it's generally not a good idea to do that, because if you're toying around with an idea and you announce like, hey, we're toying around with this idea and we're going to see if it works, then everyone gets all their preconceived notions in their head of what it's going to be. And then if that thing doesn't come out, people are going to rage, whether and it doesn't matter what reason you give. Like it's, exactly like, okay, well, they can come out and say, well, we tried it and it wasn't really fun, or we couldn't get it to work, or it's just not coming out this release because we had other things on the priority list. People are going to get enraged with that. So I totally understand their point of view as well, is that you can't talk too late, but you also can't talk too early.
No, I totally
again,
get
it's
that.
a fine line you got to walk. But that doesn't excuse a whole bunch of other things that they've done, but just like that's more like a general like gaming developer landscape, like whole picture kind of thing. Is that situation.
Honestly, it's kind of an all real world situation.
100% agreeable on that. You don't want to sit there and say we're going to do this and then it not happen.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, or not even I don't want to say it's the fact of the matter because that sounds like it's like a definitive point. But name something that where they said, okay, we're doing this, and it actually turned out to be better.
Cricket.
No, there are certain things, because this is a loaded question.
It's a pretty loaded question.
Yeah,
I would say Taken King turned out better than most people are expecting.
Totally agree.
I think our standards were a little bit lower than though. Taken King kind of surprised us. We had all the other expansions, which are happening right now, and for Destiny 2.
I mean, we're in the same exact situation right now that we were in Destiny 1.
And there's the point that I'm trying to make right there. We're in the same position as Destiny 1, meaning that if they saw the overnight success of what the Taken King was, how come they didn't take any of those lessons that they learned from the Taken King and infuse them into Destiny 2?
Now, after reading Jason Schreier's Blood, Sweat, and Pixel, I can say a lot of those people who worked on Taken King, such as the leads and the seniors, they left. They left Bungie.
Okay, but
a lot of the main
people
was there. It was there. I will agree, but I will say, even if Bungie won't admit it, a lot of the masterminds, they left.
I feel like they had certain design goals for Destiny 2 specifically. They maybe saw like, certain things that they didn't want to see happening, and they said, okay, well, we want to fix that. And so I'm more than willing to bet that they set out, they accomplished some of the goals that they wanted to achieve. It's just maybe they weren't in line with what we wanted. They probably wanted to get people who left Destiny very early on, get them back into it, get a whole bunch of new players to come back into the game, or old players who were sort of turned off by the first experience, and get them in and get them more invested, and then maybe have some sort of a plan to like, okay, now that we got you, we're going to grow on that and then maybe develop a more, expansive game or complex game or something like that. But the from what they've been saying in their updates, like it almost comes as a surprise to them that people want a more deeper experience. Like they were just going to keep going, doing what they were doing. Yeah. And like, it's like they only just realized now that people want a deeper experience or something like that. And
you're kidding.
I could have told you that was going to happen. Like you're going to piss off Destiny 1 players if you do that.
But kind of as a counterpoint to that, I know a number of people that have started playing the game in D2, had never touched Destiny 1, didn't like whatever about it, didn't play games at the time or something like that. And I've met people online on Reddit or wherever who are like, I don't know what all the complaining's about. I love this game. I'd never played Destiny 1, but I'm having a great time now. And I'm like, Okay.
that's why.
I think they achieved that goal. They brought in new players that aren't upset with them, and that's probably right now a majority of the people that are playing the game. And then, you know, the D1 players that have held over are the ones making all the noise, saying no, but we're repeating history.
Yeah.
And
like I think that Bungie took some of the issues from that we had in D1 and just went to the extreme with it. For example, I said on a podcast last week, the 2 primaries. We say we wanted more primary gunfights, and their answer to that was, hey, here's 2 primaries. And that's just one example that I have. It's yeah. So all right, J-Ram, go.
No, I was just gonna say, like, when I'm thinking of the 2 primary thing, though, the way the game is structured, would I like to have that sniper rifle in the 2nd slot and then the heavy in the 3rd slot? Hell yeah, I think it'd make Argos a lot easier.
PvE, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for PvP, I don't see the need for it. So when I think about in terms of PvP, the 2 primary system, I'm okay with that. But then again, I'm not the PvP person here. You might want to talk to somebody else about that. You know what I mean? But for PvE, my God, it would be so nice to have, your primary, secondary, and heavy. Yeah. And I want to go back to those names. I want to go back.
Still
to
kind of use those.
I mean,
names.
Yeah, I think everyone still calls it heavy ammo.
Except for the newbies. Yeah.
Yeah. Datto, what are your thoughts on the weapon slot system? I think now we are about 3 to 4 months post-launch. We've already had the first DLC, so I think now is like the perfect time to actually bring that up.
Yeah. I mean, for PvE, I do like the other system more because it gave you more powerful items that you could use. The heavy slot wasn't as crowded as it is right now. You have 7 or 8 different archetypes of power weapons that you can have now. You can only use one of them.
Yeah.
So for PvE, I definitely miss it. The thing that bothers me more is that they made this system, or it feels like they made this system to benefit PvP, but then they didn't do anything unique with PvP. And it would have been forgivable if they did.
If they had played it up.
Exactly.
Added all the stuff and said this is a focus.
Exactly. So I appreciate that they wanted to make a more balanced PvP experience. And to their credit, it absolutely is. It is way more balanced than ever before.
Yep.
And I think that's a good thing overall. There are other things that lend to the issues of PvP maybe not being as fun. But in general, I like that I can walk in with anything that I friggin' want and I can succeed with it. I think that's good.
Yep.
But I mean, then again, it doesn't give anything for the community to sort of rally behind in terms of the god weapon or anything like that. So that's my major issue with it. Is just that they did so much to try to balance PvP, but then they didn't run with it at all. They shrunk it down, and as a result, PvE suffers because you don't really need 2 primaries in PvE. You don't have those same range limitations that you do in PvP. I actually kind of like 2 primaries in PvP because that means I can have a hand cannon in one slot, I have a scout rifle in the other slot, and I can play all the ranges that I want. And as long as I'm smart about my positioning and using the guns where they are the best, I can succeed a lot, and I can do very well. So in that aspect, I really enjoy it. I was playing Trials today, and I have an auto rifle for my close-up engagements, but then people are trying to get saucy with all their Midas, so I slap on a scout rifle so I can test those people as well. I like that.
Yeah.
That's neat. I like that. I like having those options. But it waters down PvE as a result, and I play a lot of PvE, and I like feeling powerful in PvE, and all that, and yada.
Yeah, you don't feel that much powerful in PvE. Especially with the power level system. That's a whole nother different topic.
Dive into the rabbit hole. Keep going.
Oh man.
Right.
Yeah. So let's just move on. Rate layer, guys. I have not had a chance to dive into the raid layers. I can't talk too much about it, but I know some of you guys have had. Datto, you're putting up a thumb, so that means it's good. You enjoy JRAM. JRAM, I'm just going to direct this question to you. What are your thoughts on the raid layer? Because I know last week you were super excited to dive into it.
Yeah, this is where, this is one of the things where Destiny really shines. I love the raid layer. I love the communication. I'm not going to spoil it for people who haven't done it yet. But communication is by far the most significant aspect of that encounter. One question I had, I was like, how the hell are they going to tie this raid layer into the Curse of Osiris, which deals with the Vex? And they did a beautiful job at doing that. So overall, I just think it's great. And this is me being picky now, I would like more encounters because I like to raid a lot. I got a solid raid team, and we can do both raids now. The Leviathan and then the Eater of Worlds within an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. So we could knock it out. But then again, we are all very experienced with that. There's still none of that, clutch moment. And I think what holds the clutch moment back is the token aspect. It's kind of like, oh, do we have any more tokens left over? Nope, we're all out. All right, just wipe. I hate that. But if I can get more raids on a more consistent basis, and then the takeaway is, well, we're gonna give you tokens. Fine, I'll deal with that.
Yeah.
But communication's the most important. The raid itself visually is stunning. Again, it's fantastic. The final boss room, Jay, you're gonna love it once you see it. Just make sure that I was gonna say, make sure you got a team that communicates well.
Oh yeah.
And what's nice is if you raid with the same people over and over again, you pick up on their habits and you can dictate what they're gonna do before they even do it.
Yeah.
That's a family right there.
And that just comes from just playing with the same people over and over again. Yeah. Which I would have liked to have seen the guided games do a better job at that. It's just right now it's just there's too many customers at the restaurant and not enough cooks, and that's the problem.
I love your analogies.
Well, I like food. I like food a lot. So, and food's easy. Everyone understands food. And there's just that's what the problem is right now. There's a lot of people wanting to do the raids. There's just not enough guides to help them.
Did they ever fix guided games? I know they brought that up a few weeks ago.
I don't think it's an issue of fixing. They just need more guides. You still go on
They need more guides, but how do you get more guides? How do you get more people to be more guides?
Yeah,
no idea.
Give them something.
Put an emblem.
You need to give them a reason other the goodness of their heart.
You mean player investment?
Yeah.
Maybe. I have an entire video on it. How you drove away all the hardcore players, and hardcore players are the only people who are going to be able to reasonably do multiple guided games per week if they wanted to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I have a note on the res token thing. I recently did a video on res tokens, and I have some replies from Joe Blackburn, who's the raid team lead.
Yes.
And he said, cool to see thoughts on res tokens. I agree that we lost some of the epicness of a small team pulling through a hard fight. We've had this feeling in internal playtests as well. Some goals we wanted to hit with res. Allow deaths in prestige without sacrificing difficulty. Change from waiting to res to urgency to res, and remove scenarios where friends are playing for 3 minutes or longer or some long period of time with everyone else being dead doing nothing. Which all totally makes sense.
Yeah.
If you're dead, not that fun to just sit there and do nothing.
Yeah.
So I get their reasonings, and that was very nice insight of him to give, because that's the kind of response I'm looking for.
That's the communication that we
want.
want.
That's the transparency we're looking for.
Yeah, but it sucks to have to come from a personal Twitter account, which is good because you're able to talk.
I mean, this is also probably something that he didn't have to go to, Bungie PR and be like, can I talk about this? Yes. Okay, good. He probably can just come out and be like, okay,
that's true.
I can talk about that. It doesn't ruin anything.
Yeah. Wraithos, what are your thoughts on Raid Layer? If you played it.
I have not played it. I've watched many of videos, a couple of them being Datto's, and I'm excited. I want to play it. Like Jaren was saying, a lot of communication does seem to be the key factor for it. I'm part of the current meta with Danfinity, and our time frames are kind of like sporadic. So it's a little difficult for me to grab some, like, just my clan and say, let's do raid layer and just bust it out. But at the same time, I know that I'm down for it. It looks good. It seems interesting, and it's some of that new content that a lot of the remaining hardcore players are looking for.
Yeah, I'm really excited to dive into it. It looks gorgeous. Hopefully tonight. And then Datto, just your thoughts on the raid layer.
I loved it. I understand that brevity is probably one of its main issues. But they came out and said, like, look, it's not going to be as long as a regular raid, and they disclosed that. They said that they didn't try and bait us or anything, so we're fine. It is the boss fight. The final boss fight is at least in my top 3 favorite encounters of any raid. They took everything that I like about Axis from Wrath of the Machine, and they just dialed it up a lot. And so that final fight is really, really fun. I really like running that raid. My only gripe, again, besides the brevity, is I thought they could have done something a little bit more with the first encounter. I will keep it ambiguous. Besides just the ending of just, there's some things, and then you're done.
Yeah, I would like to see one more encounter.
It didn't. I don't even think it needed to be an encounter. It would have been nice if there was one more central thing. I'm trying to keep so ambiguous. One more central thing at the end of the first thing for everyone to rally around.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you nailed it.
Okay. Other than that, I thought it was great. Short but very sweet.
All right, nice. So Bennett Xander, and we should really think about wink another Leviathan raid race, including the Leviathan raid layer. Just saying.
It just depends on how long it would be. The guys are running the full Leviathan raid. In 20,
yeah.
What, 21, 22 minutes. A single encounter. I don't know. I could see that event being over in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
After them running it 6 times.
That's about as long as it takes to get a notification on your phone that somebody's live. You're like, oh, I missed it.
I ran raid with Dan and a couple of others who were actually in the speedrun competition, and I was like, wait, we're done? Did I just do Crota again? What?
Hey! I like Crota.
I liked Crota.
You
I
can run
liked
that place
Crota
pretty darn quick if you focus.
That was great.
I was kind of blown away. I'm like, wow, we're done in 37 minutes, and
when we would commentate them, like, going through. I mean, it was the first time we saw them go through.
Dogs.
Dogs.
Yeah, Pleasure Gardens.
They ran through it. Xander and I started talking about something else, turned back, and they were already back in the underbelly. We're like, it's been 45 seconds.
Yeah. It's a minute for dogs, and it's like, what, 5 minutes for the gauntlet, because you have to do those
Gauntlet, you have to do the whole
That's
thing.
the only thing that's long in there, other than traversing through the underbelly.
Even baths is sort of limited. Like, you can speed up hitting the canisters and stuff, but in terms of actually getting there, it's like, no, you got to sit there and wait. So
stand
and
there
even
for the
Callus
chain.
to a degree.
Yeah, stand there for the chain, walk around the gauntlet. Dogs are dead, and
I will say, watching the speed races for Leviathan were fun to watch. It was really fun to watch teams just speed run through everything. It's great. So our last segment of the night, guys. Let's just review Curse of Osiris as a whole. Like, if you have to grade it on a 1 to 10 scale, what would you give it? 1, of course, being the lowest, and 10 just being the highest, and why? Think about everything. Think about it as like the smallest patrol zone ever.
Are we grading in a vacuum or grading in context with everything else that's been going on?
Just context. So it's just everything. Lot content. Just everything about Curse of Osiris. I will say, not having access to the Infinite Forest, I forgot its name. Is a bummer. It's a huge
Because
missed
you never
opportunity.
go there.
Yeah, it's a missed opportunity. But yeah, just as a whole, guys, what would you give it as a grade? Datto, you could just take it away. You first.
I gave it a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
And my grading scale is not like a 7 being god awful garbage. It's like 1 is god awful garbage.
Yeah.
I would put it right in the middle. Like it doesn't offend. It doesn't do anything insanely crazy. Wow. Maybe I give it a 5.5 because the raid's really nice. The raid layer is really nice. I bump it up like a little step because of that. But otherwise, it was something that Bungie probably contractually was obligated to release. And there was no way they were ever going to be able to respond to the feedback that we were giving in time to make any sort of meaningful steps in Curse of Osiris to fix those issues. So they were stuck with something where they're probably Activision's probably like, you still got to put it out. You still got to do it. It's in the contract. You still got to do it. And they're just like, oh, God, man. Like, okay, here you go. And someone at Bungie's probably going to be thinking that. So, yeah, it didn't offend, but it didn't wow at all. And it's just not what the game really needed at this time. And I think the Infinite Forest was also not utilized as well as it probably could have been.
Yeah. How cool would it have been if it was like 2 portals on, and then you just like one portal leads to the past Mercury and the other one leads to the dark Mercury. Like, I think that would have been awesome. Or like have a few lost sector, 1 or 2 inside the past Mercury or patrol zone. I mean, a public event. Like,
yeah, I think if they utilized it a little bit more, those past things, because everyone says like, oh, Mercury is the smallest public space patrol area that they've ever made. But it's like, well, if we want to go this route and say and combine the past, the dark future, and the Infinite Forest all together, then it's actually kind of pretty decently sized, if not pretty big. It's the problem is accessibility and that there's nothing to do over there besides the adventures.
Exactly.
And the Infinite Forest, I think, is wasted potential. I don't care like how cool on a technical level it is. You could have done something else with it, something more with it.
And there's a lot of space just not utilized.
Yeah, it's a glorified loading zone, and it's basically the first half of 2 strikes that we got.
The hype for the Infinite Forest was much higher than what we were getting.
Yeah.
They dedicated a stream.
Right, and with how they were hyping it up, talking about it, streaming it, you thought, it would be part of the patrol area, and it's not. I agree with Jay. Maybe they could implement it a little bit more. Maybe instead of, hey, we have to go out to these wonderful pillars on the sides of the map that you can only get to during a public event. Let's go ahead and leave those launchers on and have those be your portals into the dark future and the pretty past. Make it so that, if you walk into the main, you can walk into the main door of the Infinite Forest and just browse around. Or if you want to go to Ancient Mercury or Future Mercury, just allow us to do those capabilities.
I don't know why that door is locked to go to the Infinite Forest. It's just a huge missed opportunity.
Rate those. What's your rating? What's your numerical rating?
So for me, the rating is probably right around a 6. I think that the storyline for it was like an appetizer, I'm gonna say. It was definitely a tease. I think that with the whole Osiris and the whole lore of him and just the past and just Mercury itself, they could have done so much more with the storyline, and instead we're going to give you a temporary ghost, and that's it.
Yeah,
it's another one-off experience. It's another this is a thing that happened in the Destiny universe. It doesn't end up explaining anything as to why things are happening.
It was very lackluster. I still would give it a 6 because I enjoyed it for the most part, but I still wish they did more. I don't want to say this, but it felt like the beta. The beta just was, hey, Destiny 2 beta, awesome. This sounds great. Oh, you got a strike and PvP and that's it.
It hits the same check marks as everything else, or as like Dark Below and House of Wolves did.
Yeah,
and we're not
like,
looking for the same check
here's
marks.
Your things, and that's it. It's like, oh, so that
like
really?
It does seem like Destiny 2 is going down the same content path as D1, just with a few more live events. That's really it, right? I remember those Activision earnings calls, and they were saying monthly content, so much content is coming, and it seems like we have the same DLC path. Bennett and Xander, what are your review on Curse of Osiris? Grading?
So kind of actually jumping into the last thing you just said, Jay, was I feel like we are in the same kind of content path. Like with that, I mean, and I think that's a contractual thing where it's you put out a game and 2 DLCs, then we'll see what happens. But that be like my overall rating, I think would be also about a 6. I enjoyed playing it. As usual. I mean, all the art, the music, it was fantastic to look at. I liked seeing new spaces, and like coming out into past Mercury was probably when I was like, oh wow, this looks great. And so going through it was great, and it added a couple things to do and added more time to play in the game. And comparing it to past DLC, like that past DLC progression, I think that this is probably one of the stronger of the kind of first 2 DLCs, of the 3 immediate after game DLCs that they've put out, including House of Wolves and Dark Below and this. I like this. I mean, this had a story to it, and it seemed like there was somewhat more invested at parts. My one issue was probably, I mean, and this is just from from the perspective of the plot, the last boss, I guess I'll go without much spoiling, but the last encounter of it and all that stuff, I finished it and I was like, well, that was fun, but you couldn't do that on your own. Like, he caused you so much trouble, and you couldn't just do this because I just did this. It was okay.
You're Osiris.
Exactly.
You're considered the greatest guardian.
You got like 30 million of yourself floating around, and you needed one other person to. Okay, I mean, I'm flattered.
That's an issue I have with just the guardian character in general, is that it doesn't feel like we are ever going to be defeated ever.
Yeah.
You're literally able to solo like the craziest villains of Destiny history. You just walk, oh, thing gonna destroy the world. Oh, Gaul's over there just destroying and the Traveler.
We built new armor since that was an issue before, so you're good now.
Yeah, and you know what the funniest thing is? They give you like the reward is like the stranger gives you her gun. I like get this piece of shit out of here. I just built the gun.
I've got better guns.
Get that out of my face.
Yeah,
I don't like this.
I don't know. That bothers me. Is that like it never feels like we need to come together as a unit. It's just you're just one person going out, just the craziest savior of the universe that we've ever seen.
You are the guardian. Everybody else is just
there's no like group. Like Oryx was the only time I felt like it was a group thing, because the story was actually connected to the raid where you defeat him in the mortal plane, and then you're like, okay, we want this dude dead, and you go into his ascendant plane, and then that's where you really mess him up all together as a unit.
And also where you realize, like, oh yeah, this isn't something that I would necessarily be comfortable doing by myself, because I mean, it's big.
Bungie said that they don't want to like have the raid connected to the story like that because of it's locking people out of content, which I think no, the raid is supposed to be that in-game content. Let it connect to the story. Like,
I like that, Datto.
Imagine we defeat
the best with Oryx.
Yeah, yes.
It worked perfectly with Oryx.
What?
Oryx is great.
Oryx, he disappeared, and then he shows up big and bad in the raid, and then we defeat him there. but and Leviathan Callus, big ship, come out of nowhere. Literally,
I don't like the non-attachment of the raid to the main story. I mean that comes from WoW background where things are connected to the raid, you know, and so I'm just kind of used to that. But I don't like the disjointedness. Like I know Callus is like
he has his own story.
He has his own story and how he's related to Gaul and all that, but it's never really explained unless you really dig into it. So it just, if you're not paying attention, it feels very disjointed.
I hope they find a way to connect it. Yeah. And J-Rim, just your grade and review on Curse of Osiris really quickly.
Well, I mean, I'm just gonna echo a lot of what was already said.
Yeah.
A 5 out of 10. Like they don't take any risk with it, but then again, they don't do any. You know, they didn't go too far on one side or the other side. My biggest gripe is, how are you going to center a DLC around who's regarded as the most
notorious guardian.
epic guardian ever
in Vanguard history?
And then you see him for a matter of a minute, if that.
Literally.
It seems like Bungie is really, really good at creating these big ideas, but as far as storytelling, they're terrible at it.
Execution is flawed.
Yeah. It just, like, to use a word that Datto's been thrown around, it's very disjoint. It's just, and I'm afraid that the next DLC is going to feel the same exact way, the Rasputin DLC, or whatever it's going to be called. It's going to be just another little micro bubble of what is really happening, and it relates, but then it doesn't relate. Like I said, you got the Helm of Saint, or you got Saint 14, you got Osiris, and they have maybe a paragraph worth of dialogue. That's it.
Yeah.
It's just the thing that bothers me about the Destiny story is that they're so afraid of having these continued storyline. Like the way they hyped up Gaul made it seem like he was going to be the main threat of Destiny 2's entire lifespan.
Yeah.
And then you go get rid of him in 3 weeks in in-game universe Destiny time.
Yeah. 3 weeks.
By yourself.
It's like my gripe with like a Monster of the Week TV episode series versus like a continuous story arc series, where I'm like, just give me a 24-hour long movie, please, and continue it throughout. Let me work towards it.
It just seems like they're so afraid to offend people.
You're right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're afraid of hearing the backlash. Well, I never did the raid, and I don't know how the story ends, so I hate your guts now. Like they're trying to appease everybody. And I'm not saying they should appease the hobbyists. They shouldn't appease the hardcore players, and they shouldn't appease the tourists either.
They're trying to give everyone that satisfying ending that they want, and for those people who are in and out, it's like fine. But for the people who stick with it, it's just we want to learn more about what is this traveler?
It's awake, but it's not doing anything.
Like what?
Where is it?
What is actually happening? Like we've learned nothing other than we are a god of gods, and we can destroy anything that walks in our path. And it's just all these little micro side stories. We haven't if this is our start, we've gone this way and this way and this. We haven't gone forward.
Yeah.
It never feels like we've gone forward.
Yeah, it just
feels like a thing that happens.
Like I said, they come up with amazing big ideas, but then to flesh these ideas out, it's just terrible. And case in point, who's the best Destiny storyteller out there?
Bife and Mylan Games.
There you go. My name is Bife, or Mylan Games.
Yeah.
They don't even work for Bungie.
They
do a better job at telling Bungie's story than Bungie does.
And
guys, maybe this is just Bungie's way of saying that don't believe legends. Legends are blown to huge proportions. Then you're gonna meet the guy.
Yeah.
He's a guy. Yeah. There you go. Don't believe that legend.
We're better than the legends.
Let's break them.
What does it matter?
Yeah.
So believe in yourself.
We kick everyone's ass all day, every day. F the legends.
Yeah.
We are.
I just want a hive
the
guy.
way that they make our characters.
Maybe that's what they're trying to show.
The other thing I saw, I think it was legend. I think it was in the Helm of Saint 14 in the lore card. I'm not sure which one. I think it's Selma Saint 14, but it's a communication between Shax and Cade 6. If you read it, I'm pretty sure it's the Helm of Saint 14. It could be a different exotic, but it's they're talking about how, you know, there's a threat or whatever, and we need to deal with it, or, oh, hey, what if this happens? Oh yeah, that might happen eventually or whatever. And at the tail end of it, Shax is like, I gotta go see a thing about a crucible, and Cade's like, well, why? Well, there's this guardian that they found outside of Russia that shows a lot of promise. You think, from everything that we just experienced in Destiny 1 and now we're in D2, you're acknowledging, yes, we are pretty badass, but humble beginnings. Okay, sure, no big deal. But like Datto's saying, we're taking those legends and we're just like dragging them through the mud. Like, yeah, you do that.
And
wiping the floor.
And personally, I think the worst part about it is that we don't talk in games. So I am
100% okay with not talking if the story is done well.
Yeah, it was pretty awkward in some cutscenes.
Oh my god, it was totally awkward.
It was the most awkward it's ever been.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah,
are we
you
gonna
don't
say
have to
anything?
talk.
Like, how many times?
I get the being like, all right, we're not going to make him talk because your guardian is you and you're unique. We don't want to assign a voice to that. But if you're not going to assign a voice to it, don't put a character there and make them stand there and get cut off every time it looks like they're going to say something. And then just stand there and be like, I don't need to talk.
Yeah,
let's take Halo.
Oh, go ahead.
And let's take Halo, and instead of Master Chief ever talking, let's just have Cortana talk the entire time. That's your Destiny.
Yeah.
Right there.
Well, guys.
It's just, I hate it when they make that awkward talking motion too, like when your guardian's standing there.
I hate
and
that.
And the chest is out, everything, and all of a sudden your ghost isn't talking, and you're like, and then he starts talking, and gets like, what was that?
Yeah.
Just cut that out.
Did you have to breathe? You're a little piece of machinery. You don't have lungs.
It was the first time that I actually minded our characters not talking, because it just, like, they set it up. Like, it's not many other times in the past where they set it up as like, hey, get ready to talk. Oh, you're not talking. This time, it just was awkward. It was just awkward. It was the one time I actually noticed, like, blatantly noticed that it's a decision to make us not talk.
Yep.
Nessus and Cade right there. He's in the spiral, and he's like, say you got it, say something.
Yeah,
we got it.
Yeah, don't set me up for that.
Yeah,
because it just looks it just looks poor. Poor writing, all that shit.
I hope their writing team just figures something out in 2018, and I hope the next DLC, the story, gets better. Because again,
that story's already been written, Jake.
Yeah, I know. Like,
touche, Bennett.
Like, where's Eva Levante? But that's just a whole nother different story. Even though she made the Dawning, but again, that's for later.
That's what I was thinking. I was I was hearing that the Dawning was supposed to come out, Tuesday, just passed, and I was like, Ava's not anywhere in D2. Where the fuck is she gonna pop up?
Well, Tess took all of her shaders, so
right.
Everything from her. It's like
feels bad.
She's selling everything now.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, Datto, Bennett, and Xander for joining us this week. We had a great show. I know we went over time. I apologize, but you see how just fast time went by? Time just went by fast. Thank you guys so much. So, as you guys can see, we do like to talk about food here on the show because we make a lot of food analogies. So I do have an ending question for you guys this week. What is your favorite lunch meal? If you're at home, at work, like, what do you guys usually, like, your favorite lunch meal? I just have to say, I love eating Chipotle. Even I'm just home or at work, I just love eating Chipotle for lunch.
Corporate chill.
This stream brought to you by
please give us some sponsors.
He's a sellout.
Yeah. So, Bennett, Xander, what do you guys like to eat for lunch? Your favorite meal?
I know. Well, there's a great sushi spot right next to my office.
Sushi's good.
I go to too much.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go my favorite hangover cure lunch, which is get me some pho. Gotta love some soup and
noodles and
that's
good.
my
bits of beef.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I like ramen. I think ramen's pretty good. I have a lot of great ramen shops near my job in Chinatown. I like it.
Oh, that's lucky.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Perks of
Ramen
working
is
in
great.
Lower Manhattan. All right. Datto, what is your favorite lunch meal, man?
If I feel like getting something good, I like a good barbecue pulled pork sandwich with some chips and a soda. I'll take that any day of the week.
That's good. That's good.
Heck yeah.
J-Ram.
Oh, I made this the last 3 days in a row, and it's so bad.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Taco meat with cheese, some lettuce, hot sauce on top of Cool Ranch Doritos.
So nachos?
Nachos?
I like nachos.
Sounds really good.
Yeah, I didn't want to just say nachos because I think
What's
it's
wrong with saying
better.
nachos?
You can put that together like a Frito pie, but in Doritos.
But it's
You could just say nachos, but with Doritos.
Yeah.
And everyone would have understood what you were talking about.
Like, sounds good.
See, I was trying to set you guys up for the Cool Ranch, and in my head, I was envisioning everybody going, "Oh, that does sound good," but it failed miserably.
I'm not a
Already
Cool
started
Ranch
with
guy. I'm
taco meat and
a
cheese.
nacho cheese guy. I'm not a Cool
Nacho.
Ranch guy, so you're not
Well,
going to
see,
get
I
that.
go with the Cool Ranch to kind of counteract the hot sauce that I throw on top.
Okay.
All right, I can see that.
So-
Because it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Also, I like to feel cool sometimes.
Yeah.
All right. And Arathos.
I'm a sucker for good mac and cheese.
Ugh.
Mac and cheese is good.
Mind you, I don't do like just craft boxes of mac and cheese. I go whole hog, homemade cheese sauce with bacon on top of dogs.
Ooh.
I mean, I'll do a full-on chili mac on like brats that are stuffed with cheese and just go to town.
Those
Sounds
sound
good.
good.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I'm if we're talking food for just a moment,
Mhm.
I'm one of those crazy kids that likes to try and make everything.
Mhm.
I've gone as far as making beef Wellington, and I'll tell you one thing: it came out good. I'm no Gordon Ramsay, but damn.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening to the 56th episode of the DTR podcast. Thank you again, Datto, Xander, and Bennett for joining us this week.
Thank you.
So where can we find you guys on social media? Datto, you first.
You can find me at youtube.com/DattoDoesDestiny, twitch.tv/Datto, at Datto's Destiny. I made them all different because I know, that's really smart branding. That's about it.
All right. Xander.
So you can find me on Twitter at ZombieXander. Same for all my gaming stuff, basically.
Anything
And
ever.
then Ben and I also have a private Twitch channel, twitch.tv/
A first name basis.
a first name basis,
Yeah.
which is our kind of like being we're on our first name basis with each other, and then we want to be with you, our viewers. So, and then we've done a couple awesome raid races right here on this channel, which
Yes.
have gone off so well. So
Extremely well.
keep your eye out for a couple more of those, maybe with this raid layer. Who knows?
Who knows?
Bennett and Xander are great commentators. They are awesome. I highly recommend tuning into them. All right. Bennett, where can we find you on social media?
Well, pretty much all the stuff Xander said, and actually, I'll leave it at that. I haven't tied in a personal Twitter to our Twitter yet, so I need to probably do.
We have
that.
a pair Twitter where it's
at FNB_gaming is our overall Twitter.
Yeah.
So
Which I just discovered this week. I'm like, they had Twitter and they didn't tell me?
we thought you would be interested enough to find it on your own.
Yeah. All right.
Shows us how serious you were.
Got me there.
You're
Right,
I
those.
wasn't.
I did the smart thing. Poking fun at Datto here. It's Rathos, literally everywhere.
Even the one
even
site.
that one site. Yes,
Which
yes, even that one site.
we
which
cannot
will
say
not
on
discuss. But Instagram,
MySpace?
Twitter,
It rhymes
Instagram,
with
Twitter, everywhere. Twitch, it's Rathos.
air. Everywhere.
You can't miss it.
Can't. All right. And J-Ram.
J_Rambo9119. That's it.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. All right, guys. You guys can find me on Twitter at j_DTR. You guys can find Destiny Tracker on Twitch at Destiny Track and on Twitter at Destiny Track. Also, guys, in a few weeks, we're going to be recording a special edition of the DTR podcast with Jason Schreier from Kotaku, which I'm really excited to just speak with him about the development of D1 and D2. I'm really excited for that show. Look out for that on our Twitter account.
Awesome.
Also, thank you guys again for listening to the 56th episode. Again, Datto, Ben, Xander, thank you guys so much for joining us this week.
Thank you.
All right,
No
guys.
problem.
We'll see you all
Guys.
See you guys
next week. Bye.
Later.
Bye.